Living the dream, the double Phastos.
Doom rules all.
Everything's stuck to landing. Reach! Reach! Survive! Yes! Yes! Phastos! Best card in Marvel Snap! Let's go! Go! Go!
The genius inventor and super-powered member of the Eternals, Phastos, is now in Marvel Snap. The deck building is going wild, and we're figuring out, is this the best card in Marvel Snap, like Alex Coccia just said, or is it a little copium? Let's find out on this episode of the Scouting Report. Phastos is a 3/3 with an on reveal to give each card in your deck either -1 cost or +2 power. Looking at it right off the rip, we're looking at you, Silver Surfer, the culprits for so many of these brand new cards the last few weeks. Now, is that the only home for Phastos, or can we find some more creative uses? And the answer is yes. We will look at some Silver Surfer lists because it's a great home for the card, and we'll look at some other options that you have to start playing with Phastos today. So here's what we have in store for this episode. We have a Sera Surfer list. We know it's going to be good. We've got a Patriot Surfer list, mixing it up just a little bit. We have a Thanos big bodies deck. We have a ZooGamesh, a Gigazoo, whatever you like to refer to it as. And then our wild card pick for this episode is a Sandman Ramp that also uses some of the energy cheat from Phastos. So if any or all of those deck lists sound interesting to you, stick around. I got timestamps down below if you want to skip ahead to the deck list that best suits you and your playstyle. I also down below will credit every different creator who came up with these lists, so you can find them and follow them on their social medias or their Twitch or their YouTubes. And then there's also the link to all of the decks. What you're really here for, to go copy and paste them and start playing the lists. So without any further ado, now we are going to boogie through these deck lists here. So we're starting off with the Sera Surfer by Alex Coccia. Now, if I'm being honest, we're not revolutionizing a 12-card deck list here. We're really just taking something that already works really well, slotting in the brand new card. Now, if you haven't seen this version of Sera Surfer before, honestly, I'm highly surprised. This is an extremely common list. We are using the Okoye and Nakia. Sometimes those two cards get swapped out for other options. Typically the Okoye will be a forge, so that you have the option to forge into your Brood, into your Absorbing Man. And Nakia can oftentimes just be another tech card, a Red Guardian, a Rogue, what have you. You can even slot in Hope Summers if you really want to try and play as many cards as possible. Now, what we're really talking about is how Phastos can benefit greatly when he gets either the cost reduction or power bonus onto your Brood and your Sebastian Shaw. So now this list with the Okoye, with the Nakia, with the Phastos, with the Nova that gets blown up, with the Silver Surfer, we have so many ways to take your Brood and your Sebastian Shaw and really send them through the roof here. But I do really like that with the cost reduction as well, with the Sera and everything, you can take your time. You don't have to slam as many points early. You can really do a lot of your setup phases and then just completely blow it out of the water on turn 5 and turn 6. Well, maybe not turn 5, that's your Sera turn, but you know what I mean. All right, I think I've said enough on this already. Let's move on to the next one. Now we are looking at a Patriot Surfer list by Eva. Now this one might seem like it's very straightforward on paper. You know, you play Patriot, you play Surfer, you do other stuff, but this one does have a few more intricacies that you have to consider. Now, if you didn't know already, when you play a Mysterio, all 3 of those clones count as a discount for Mockingbird, immediately making her 2 cost, and that in and of itself is really powerful. But if you are going to go a route with Brood or with Debris, sometimes you're going to have to be careful with your Mysterio, make really conscious decisions of how you want to fill your lanes. Kind of goes without saying that the Debris has a double purpose. You know, you're clogging your opponent, but then with Patriot, you're turning those into 2 power rocks instead of just nothing. Nocturne is a fantastic tech card with great stat line, being 3/5. Shang-Chi is just there to punch things when you need it. Don't need to explain that. Doom is going to be an interesting one because you can, in a best case scenario, hit it with the cost reduction from the Phastos, and then you can play it on turn 5 and then have your turn 6 of a Patriot and Silver Surfer. But that ideal situation might not always happen, but it gives you some flexibility. So if you are going to take out this list, I just give you a word of caution. Be careful, make very conscious decisions of how you want to fill up the 12 board spaces that you have. But I do think that this is going to be a great home for this new card. If I were a betting man, I'd be betting that Phastos is going to be in a lot of different variations and versions of Thanos. This one was the first one to, trying to experiment with on day 1, and I think it's a great home. We're not too worried about doing a lot of tech stuff in a list like this. Nocturne is there, Mobius is there. Outside of that, what's our goal? Big fat bodies. We're just putting numbers down on the board. Now, something to consider if you are going to play Phastos in Thanos is you are less likely to draw the card then, obviously. You're adding more cards to the deck. You're not always going to draw through all of them. You're not always going to get Phastos at a time where it's going to make sense to play him. You draw him on turn 4, but you've got a Cull Obsidian in hand. You got some 1-drops down. You're slamming down 10 power more than likely. But in the games where you do draw him on curve and you can play him at an optimal time, I think he's going to be very, very powerful in allowing you to play more big bodies earlier, discount your Scar, play a bunch of stones, discount your Sasquatch. Blob is always going to be at max power. There's just really good stuff here. I know Thanos has been away from the meta a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a bit of a resurgence with this new card. So if you like Thanos, if you like the utility that the stones give you, and you like that end goal of having a 20 power, cannot be destroyed, can be played anywhere Thanos, then snag the deck list down from the description below and start playing and winning some games. Now for this one, I would love to know, do you call this list a ZooGamesh? A Gigazoo? How do you refer to this kind of zoo list that's taken over for quite some time now throughout this season? Now, I credited myself here because I didn't see anyone else playing this list on day 1, but really all that I did was take one of the best versions of it, some slight variations like the Snow Guard and the Shadow King I personally really prefer. I also think Kyera is mandatory, and then I just kind of chucked Phastos in here because I think it will be really good. But if you haven't played this kind of deck yet, I would say it brings me like a nostalgia, because when I first started playing Marvel Snap, zoo decks were my bread and butter. They felt comfortable, they felt good, they felt consistent, and being able to play Zoo again has felt so nice. It just feels like, yeah, this is Marvel Snap. This is what I learned. So if you haven't, try it, please. It's good and it gets the job done. You are consistently putting out really big numbers, and then the Shadow King is there if your opponent has an Angela, Athena, all of those things just stacking up. Gone. And then your Gilgamesh ends up being huge because if you didn't know, he gets the +1 even from the ongoing bonuses that all of your cards are going to get. So Kazara or Blue Marvel are out here buffing a whole bunch of cards. Gilgamesh gets a +1 for all of them. There's a ton of times too where your Mockingbird can be completely free, and so on that final turn you're just slamming so many stats they don't see it coming. Now, the only thing I could see going slightly wrong is if you end up in a situation where you need to Shadow King the +2 bonus that Phastos gave some of your cards, but I don't think it's really going to be super detrimental in any way. And the cost reduction allowing you to potentially play a Blue Marvel a turn early or a turn 6 Shauna and Kazar, there's just a lot of times where that cost reduction could really let you cheat out some stuff earlier, or even hold some cards close to your chest so you don't have to play them until that final turn and your opponent has no idea where the power is going. Because one of the things with this list is a lot of times your cards are on the table. Your opponent knows where you're going big. They're just kind of guessing where you're going to play a Gilgamesh at the end. But if you do have a way to just wait, throw priority, and then slam things where you want to, pretty nice. I know there's a few more expensive cards. Like you might be asking, is Mockingbird necessary? Probably, if I'm being honest. But if you do have access to the cards in this list and you're looking for something to consistently climb and get yourself to infinite, maybe this is probably the one. And last and not least, we have a Sandman deck. I called it a Sandman Ramp, but realistically, I guess the ramp component is the Phastos and the fact that your Jubilee and your Blink kind of play that role in cheating out some of your other big cards early. But from what I've seen, this is a creative, wild card list that your opponents are not going to see coming. In here, we've got some just generically good early game stuff. Nebula, White Widow, Jeff. I love the Baron Mordo, the Unseen Disruption, and 2/3, not a bad stat line. Red Guardian, great tech card, we all know it. It can shut down an Angela, shut down Athena, shut down an Iron Man. There are so many uses for that Red Guardian. Jubilee has so many great targets that it can pull out of your deck, and then if you do have that line of Jubilee into Blink, it's just fantastic. There's a world too where you do play Phastos and you manage to get a 2-drop like your White Widow or your Baron Mordo or your Jeff into your Blink on turn 5 because they'll both be discounted 1. Sandman right now is hella disruptive. There are so many decks that love to play a ton of cards, bounce into Kitty Pryde over and over again, what have you, and Sandman just completely goes, no, screw you. You get nothing. Well, you get 1. Doom goes wide, Magneto is disruptive, and 12 power is 12 power. What's more to say? I think you get it. I think this deck, though, is one where if you do decide to play it, it's probably going to take you a little bit of time to adjust to what are the optimal conditions and the optimal hands and when you might need to retreat. But overall, I really like it. I really, really do. And honestly, there's some room for flexibility here. Let's say you would rather take out the Baron Mortar and put in a different 2-drop. You like a different tech card than Red Guardian. You'd rather have your Nocturne. Or you don't even like the Claw. You think Claw's mediocre. You'd rather just put in a different 5-drop or, hey, even an Iron Man. Do it. Have fun. That's the beauty of lists like this, and honestly players like Ika who are always trying to innovate and try new things in the game. So again, the list is down below in the description. Copy, paste it, try it out, make some variations, have fun with it. That's the point of playing games, right? To have fun. And if you like fun, your boy streams over on Twitch Monday, Wednesday, Friday, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We always have a good time. The vibes are always immaculate. There's good gameplay, there's some creative choices, there's all of the good music we've got running in the background. Conversation topics are all over the place. So if you want to swing by Twitch, CallmeSal, there's an underscore at the end of it. But at the end of the day, thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it all the way here, like and subscribe, all that stuff. I'll see you next week for the new card. Much love, everybody.